Hey guys, Rath here with the DFS Minute, the PM edition tonight for April 28th. Getting this video out a little after 6 o'clock, trying to get these in a little bit earlier for you guys so we're not crunched. But really what I'm looking at is hopefully that most lineups are in and we can make the best decisions. And don't obviously like a lot of hitters in that Giants-Dodgers game tonight, so I don't have to worry about waiting on that. So let's rock and roll. Everything I'm talking about tonight, salary-wise, is going to be with DraftKings, as that's the site that I'm going to be playing on tonight. I'm not playing on FanDuel. So we're going to run down DraftKings, but most of these plays you can probably play on FanDuel and also on Fantasy Aces. So, just a matter of what the salaries are on those prices, and you can make it work. Let's go down the pitchers. I'll go down some guys that I like tonight. We'll talk about each position, a value play that I like at each position, and then also a guy I think you need to pay up for, and then some overall strategies tonight in the direction that I think you can go. Let's hit it off with starting pitchers. Number one guy on the board for me, talked about him this morning, Johnny Cueto, 6-1 last 8 starts against Milwaukee with a 1.71 ERA. Always the potential for double-digit strikeouts in at least a floor of 7 innings, I think, tonight. So I think you get 7 innings, 7 Ks, and 2 earned runs or less, and you get a win as a floor. That's usually my target or what I'm looking at when I'm taking pitchers. I need 7.72. Those are the targets that I look at. So I talked about that in the RotoWire article this week. Now, that was mostly for FanDuel, but in general, it's my target at all. I need guys that go 7, give me 7 Ks, give me 2 earned runs or less, and then get me an opportunity to get a win. The other guy that I like tonight is Tyson Ross. Give you some stats on Ross at home. Last year, 2014, okay? Weighted on base percentage allowed versus right-handed pitchers at Petco, microscopic 227. Guys just do not hit against Ross, and we know that this Astros lineup is mostly filled with right-handed bats that strike out a lot. So everything kind of comes together for Ross tonight, and I think the ceiling is there for Ross to have a monster night tonight and potentially be the #1 pitcher at the end of the day. 1 strikeout per inning pretty much at home against righties, a 27% whiff rate, which is huge, and a 171 batting average allowed against right-handed bats in Petco last year for Tyson Ross. He's been off to a really good start so far this year. I like the price. I like the matchup. So I'm rolling with Johnny Cueto and Tyson Ross in my heads-ups and 50-50s tonight on DraftKings. Those are the 2 guys I'm locked in on. Now, in tournaments, I would swap out either Cueto or Ross, depending on how the lineups is made. And I'm going with David Phelps, who's priced at $4,400. David Phelps is not a very good pitcher, but at that price, I don't need much to get value back, and it allows me to load up on other bats. The thing I like about Phelps is I don't think he's in a position tonight where he's going to get lit up. So as long as he can get 5 or 6 innings, keep the damage to a minimal basis, and put together maybe 3 or 4 strikeouts and few earned runs, then he can give you a floor. Now he can maybe even go 7, which is great. But let's hope, and then being potential for a win, which would be huge. So again, David Phelps at that extremely cheap price tonight is just somebody I have to look at. We talked about David Phelps last week when he went against the Phillies and the lineup was putrid. Plug him in, and he performed. He outproduced and gave you huge value. So again, David Phelps in a tournament is somebody that I would like to pair with Cueto or Ross tonight because it allows me to get some of these huge bats in and then have a lot of upside in my lineup that you need for tournaments. Now, as far as the 50-50s and the heads-up lineups tonight, the batters that I'm using on DraftKings are all priced between $3,400 and $4,200. What I'm looking for is balance in these 50-50s and heads-up games. I want a lineup full of balance with the opportunity of some upside of home runs and guys that can get on base and potentially get steals and hitting at the top of the lineup so we can score runs. So here we go. Top play on the board tonight at catcher, Stephen Vogt, hitting in the middle of that lineup, going against Weaver. He's priced at $4,200. And the value play tonight for me at catcher is A.J. Przinsky at $3,400 against A.J. Cole. Cole's a right-handed pitcher. A.J.'s going against, loves to crush righties with the opportunity of a home run. Now, Cole was a top prospect coming out of the draft. He was initially supposed to be a very high draft pick. He fell to the 4th round with signability issues, and his prospect status did fall a little bit. He got traded to the A's. He got traded back to the Nationals. Doesn't look like a guy who's probably going to stay in the bullpen long term. I would stay in the rotation long term. Probably more of a bullpen guy, and probably not ready for the major leagues at this point. So I think you can pick on him tonight. And a strategy for tournaments that I think you can use tonight is look at some of the Braves, because the Braves' salaries on DraftKings look to be at a discount. I think the speculation from my behalf is that they priced the Braves salaries expecting Max Scherzer to be on the mound tonight. And when it got scratched to AJ Cole, I think then you get the Braves at a discount. I can't imagine why all the Braves salaries would have dropped going against AJ Cole. That's the only logical reason I could think of. That's where an opportunity comes into play for you. Get some of those left-handed Braves bats that are cheap, Markakis, Freeman, Kelly Johnson, Brzezinski, and then you can load up at other positions with guys like Votto, Cruz, Harper, Beltre. I can go down the list, but I think there's an opportunity to really have a huge lineup tonight using that strategy. Going over to first base, top guy on the board, Joey Votto at 4,700 going against Kyle Lohse. Gotta love the way Votto's swinging the bat right now, and Kyle Lohse has been lit up on almost every single start that he's been on the mound, and the Brewers aren't very good right now. Value play, Ike Davis. Love the Oakland A's tonight going against Weaver, especially from the left side. You always have the upside power with Ike Davis hitting the middle of that lineup at only 3,600, so you got to love the value there, especially when you're playing the 50-50 and heads up and you need to save some money. You save about $1,100 going from Votto to Ike. I love Votto tonight. I'd love to try to find a way to get him in, but I think there's some other guys that you need to be on that are potentially better. So Votto is me. I'm going to try to squeeze him in that Phelps Braves strategy that I talked about. If I don't go Freeman, probably Votto would be a guy that I can look at in a tournament with Cueto, with Phelps, with Ross, and then load up on some bats. Second base, top guy for me is D. Gordon at 4,400 going against Montero, hitting at the top of that lineup. Montero is a top prospect for the Mets, but I think in this spot is not a lot out there tonight. I think Gordon is always a guy, especially on DraftKings. Talked about it previously. Singles and stolen bases are at a premium on DraftKings, and they're rewarded more. So guys that hit singles and steals are much more valuable on DraftKings than they are on FanDuel, the way the scoring is set up. Prado at 3,700, you can plug him in at second base. If you need to save a little bit of money, I think that's the guy you want to drop down to. You can also play D. Gordon at shortstop, but the guy that I'm rolling with at shortstop tonight is probably going to be Jordy Mercer at 3,800, hitting second against left-handed Travis Wood. Jordy Mercer absolutely mashes left-handed pitching in his career. It's a good opportunity here. I think some of these Pirate bats, or right-handed Pirate bats tonight, could blow up. They usually do hit lefties pretty good. Travis Wood is a middle-of-the-road guy. Sometimes he's good, and sometimes he's not. And when he's not, he's really bad. So I think some of these Pirates right-handed bats, whether it's Marte, McCutchen, Harrison, and then Mercer, I think at the top of the lineup are all guys that you can look at. I know Corey Hart's a guy that people are looking at too, but I'm not so sure. I feel really confident in him, even though he's at a very cheap salary. Let's go over to third base. Martin Prado would be a guy at value I think you can use. Now, if you're using him at second and you want to go value at third, I think you can go with Marcus Semien, who's hitting second tonight at 3,600 going against Weaver. Again, we like the A's. Now, the other option you have is you're going to pay up for a guy like Adrian Beltre at 4,700 at home going against left-handed J.A. Happ. J.A. Happ is a guy that in Safeco is usually pretty good. But I think in this spot in Texas, in a hitter's environment, I think Beltre could feast on him tonight. And I think this is a real good spot. Again, if you're paying up for a bat, you want a guy that's got the highest potential for a home run. He's got to be in the right situation. You're looking for right-handed power against weak lefties, or you're looking for left-handed power against weak righties that are hitting third or fourth in the lineup. And I think Beltre gives you that opportunity tonight. You're going to pay up. You want those optimal opportunities. The value at the outfield position, the guy I'm loving is Denard Span at 3,700 going against Julio Teheran. Believe it or not, Denard Span was ranked number 20 last year in DraftKings when you look at points per game. Again, we talk about the singles and the steals being rewarded huge on DraftKings. You're getting him at 3,700. I think his price is deflated here because he's just coming back from injury, and we don't have any stats built up. Teheran does struggle against left-handed bats quite a bit. The numbers are dramatic. The split differentials, he's not very good against lefties. And we'll talk about why. That's why I like Bryce Harper tonight as well. So Denard Span for me really jumped off the page as a guy on DraftKings that I want to look at and get in my lineup at 3,700. A couple other guys at value plays. Sam Fold hitting leadoff at 3,200 against Weaver. Again, like the A's against Weaver tonight. And I think you always get good value with Oakland. Those Oakland bats always come cheap. And I've seen quite a few Oakland stacks winning tournaments lately. So it's something to definitely keep an eye on. The other guy I like, you got to pay up a little bit to get him. But Justin Ruggiano hitting at the top of the lineup. He's a left-handed pitching killer. and he's going against Detweiler, who's really bad. So Rugiano's a guy I think you can pay that 4.1K to and really be comfortable with him hitting at they moved him all the way up to the top of the lineup, so there's a reason for that. The manager realizes that there's a huge potential there. Let's give you 3 big bats I like in the outfield tonight. Nelson Cruz would be the guy absolutely going to try to get in at 5,300 going against Detweiler. You always have that double dong potential, that double home run potential with Cruz going against the weak Detweiler in Texas. So optimal hitting situation for Nelson Cruz tonight, somebody that you definitely need to pay up for in a tournament. Bryce Harper, 4,200, a guy that I'm definitely going to roll with in my head-to-heads and my 50-50s because the price is cheap and I get the savings going against Teheran, and we know Teheran does struggle against left-handers. Bryce usually mashes right-handed pitching, and that's his sweet spot. He loves to hit against righties. And he's always got the potential. Again, I just talked about it with Cruz. Bryce Harper always has potential of going for multiple home runs in any given night. So that's why you got to love him, especially at the discount that you're getting him at. And then Andrew McCutchen would be a guy, if you don't want to go with Nelson Cruz, then you can pay up and get Andrew McCutchen at 5,000 going against Travis Wood. Again, McCutchen is a devastating hitter against left-handed pitching, absolutely crushes them. And so if you're going to pay up for McCutchen, this is the spot that you want to do it against weaker left-handed pitching, where this team could potentially mash tonight. So that's my report for tonight, the DFS Minute. Hit us up on RotoCurve. We got lineup picks. We got the lineup page and everything that you need for tonight. So everybody, want to wish everybody the best of luck tonight in their action, their DFS contest. And as we say here at RotoCurve, stay classy, DFS.